Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to East Central Missouri and the world, and welcome to the James Strong Show podcast number 237. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making us a part of your day. I appreciate it. This podcast was recorded on the morning of Saturday, September the 25th, from the James Strong Studio in western St. Charles County. Today's podcast has to do with sports, but not so much. Those of you who are not sports fans, don't turn off the podcast yet. We're not going to talk about the X's and O's and the batting averages and pass percentage completions. It's not that type of sports show, okay? What we're going to talk about is the phenomenon of sports betting. People have always bet on sports. That's just kind of the way things are. That's kind of the way people are. Man, I bet the Cardinals win tonight. Okay. Then there's, hey, I got $5 on the Cardinals for tonight. But it's gone further than that. It's gone further than, hey, we're taking a trip to Las Vegas, so we're going to put $50 on our home team to win the World Series or the Super Bowl or whatever. It's become way more than that. Don't believe me? If you're in St. Louis and you're watching the local baseball team, on what channel do you watch them? Bally's Sports Midwest, owned by a gambling company. So we're going to talk about sports betting in sports. It's a reality. Is it good? Is it bad? We'll find out later. First, a couple things I did want to touch on for the week. I did take a business trip this week, and I wanted to give everybody an update on how things are out there. I took a flight from St. Louis to Chicago Midway and spent the good part of the week in northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. And things continue to be very strange out there. Very strange and very inconsistent. Here's what I mean. I had a flight not too terribly early. What was it? 8:15 flight, okay, on a Monday morning. Normally, an 8:15 flight on a Monday morning, pre-pandemic, jam-packed. During the height of the pandemic, airport was dead. However, this summer, Mondays had almost come back to about normal, okay? This Monday, the airport was dead. Absolutely dead. Nobody there. I mean, I don't know what the deal was. Nope. I mean, the line at Starbucks was about 4 people long. Usually it's about 40 people long, same as the Dunkin' Donuts line. And they're right next to each other at the East Terminal at Lambert, St. Louis International Airport. Those of you who frequent that terminal know exactly what I'm talking about. And again, 3, 4, 5 people in line at the coffee places. That was it. But then by the time I got to Midway was jam-packed. Now, was it the time of the day? Was it just too early for Lambert? I know Midway is the main hub for Southwest. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But the two airports were totally different. I know Chicago's a much bigger city than St. Louis, but I'm not talking about pretty busy here, really busy there. I'm talking about dead versus jam-packed. Totally different. Hotels and restaurants, very busy. Hotels and restaurants had a lot going on. In fact, I got an upgrade to a hotel, to a room one time at a hotel. They upgraded me to a suite, no charge. Now, that happens sometimes, but this time they said, your room's not available yet. I'm thinking it's 4:30 in the afternoon. What do you mean my room's not available yet? So instead of getting my regular king-size room with a king-size bed, they were going to put me in a standard room with a standard bed. I looked at him. I said, I don't want a lesser room. He said, well, okay. Well, we'll put you in a suite, no charge. Okay. Well, thank you. And I asked him. I said, are you that busy? They said, oh yeah, we're real busy. I said, so you're busy and you gave away my room? They said, no, we're busy, but we don't have staff to clean all the rooms every day. So your room has not been cleaned yet, and probably won't be cleaned today. So the hotels are still having troubles finding people to do the work. That's everywhere. Okay. But the hotels were busy. Restaurants were busy. The mask mandates at hotels and restaurants, and my customers for that matter, totally different. Sometimes they were 100% mask mandated. You want to walk in the door, you need to have a mask. Sometimes there was no sign on the door at all. It was strange. I'll give you a perfect example. 2 customers that I called on, without naming names. One was in Madison, Wisconsin. One was in Racine, Wisconsin. Okay. In Madison, they took my temperature. They had me sign a form, and on that form said I had to promise that I had not been out of the country, had not been sick, had not run a temperature, or had not been on a commercial aircraft within the last 14 days. Well, I told the lady, I said, hey, I've been on a commercial aircraft. That's how I got here. Her eyes got big, and she said, I don't know if we can let you in the building then. Well, I was already in the building, so that ship had sailed. Just then, my host walked through the door. The receptionist said, look, this guy's been on a commercial aircraft. His eyes got big as well. He stepped back and said, look, we can still meet, but we need to keep our distance. So we went right into a conference room that was, standard size conference room, probably 20 feet long. He sat all the way at the other end of the table. I mean, I never got within 15 feet of this guy, 10 feet anyway, of this guy, which was fine. But they considered not letting me in the building because I had been on a commercial aircraft. I said, look, I've not been sick. I've got the mask on, and I wear N95 or KN95 masks when I wear them normally. He said, yeah, well, people have gotten sick on the vaccine here, and even though if they're vaccinated, so we're not taking any chances, but we'll let you in because we do want to talk to you. So that was very strange. That was the most secure I had seen a business being since the pandemic started. I then went to Racine, Wisconsin to see a customer, big customer. And there's a sign outside, look, you need to be wearing a mask every place you go in this area, even the obscure places. In other words, if you're in a courtyard outside, you still need to wear a mask. Okay, I respect those rules. So I had my mask on at all times. Went to see my customer. He told me which door to go in. I went in that door, met him in his office. Nobody in that place had a mask on at all. I did, of course, because that's what the rule said. And we came in. He said, yeah, go ahead and shut the door. We'll have a conversation. And we're talking. And I said, do I need to have this mask on? He said, only if you want to. I said, well, the sign said you have to keep a mask on every place. I'm just trying to follow the rules. He says, you can take it off. It's okay. I was within 6 feet, or I was more than 6 feet from him, so I took it off. We talked about an application, decided we needed to go out to the shop floor. I put my mask back on, and I said, look, do I need to have my mask on the shop floor? He said, yeah, there's people that may see you, so you probably better put it on. He didn't. And all the people on the shop floor, there was one guy who had a mask on. Now, I kept mine on all the time because that's the rule. And when you see a customer, just like when you're anyplace else, when you're a guest anyplace else, you respect the wishes of that guest, especially when that guest is buying stuff from you. So I kept my mask on at all times, and it wasn't a big deal. But nobody in the shop, except for one guy, had a mask on. So it was odd that they had a mandate that everybody had to wear masks, but nobody did. And friends, this was a big-time Fortune 500 company that each and every one of you would recognize, okay, in Racine, Wisconsin. So you figure out who it is. But just different rules, different things. Everything was different, okay? Very interesting. Next trip I have scheduled is actually a vacation trip with the trophy wife. We're going to Colorado to visit 4 national parks and to see some friends. And that's going to be a strictly fun vacation time. By the way, you can get tickets to Denver, Colorado for $59. At least we did. Not a bad ticket. The one time that we were able to take advantage of the low fares that Southwest always advertises. Usually they advertise the $59 fares, but where you want to go, it's $259. Not this time. Denver was dirt cheap. But that's next month. That's later on this next month. And I don't have plans to travel between now and then, but that could always change. And as always, I'll keep you updated on my travels and what I've experienced out there on the road. Another story in the news that I thought was very interesting. It has to do with the latest NDAA. That's the National Defense Authorization Act that's going through Congress right now. And tucked into the House of Representatives' lengthy fiscal 2022 National Defense Authorization Act, that's the NDAA, the lawmakers in the House actually passed it on Thursday, and there's a provision to form a permanent office under the Defense Secretary, so reporting to the Secretary of Defense, where officials would investigate government and military-provided reports of unexplained sights in the skies. That's right, UFOs, UAPs. Now, that office, according to the bill, would carry out on a department-wide basis the mission currently performed by the UAPTF. That's the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. And I did a podcast on that, okay? And this was put forth by Representative Ruben Gallego, Democrat from Arizona, and he's a Marine Corps combat veteran. So this guy, he's the real deal. Now, the U.S. government has a rocky history of grappling with flying saucers and other mysterious spacecraft and watercraft. That was predated by the AATIP, Advanced Aerial Threat Identification Program. That was around 2005 or so. And the Defense Department's UAP Task Force. That was formed more recently. And that was formed because of the Navy pilots and the Tic Tac UFOs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again, we did podcasts on that. If you want to find out more, go to Spreaker.com and search the James Strong Show podcasts, and you can find those podcasts. Now, while it's still a long path ahead, but this NDAA, that's the defense bill we're talking about, ultimately passes the current House's UAP provision. In other words, there's going to be a new office in the Pentagon reporting directly to the Secretary of State to identify UAPs. Now, specifically, officials within the hub would develop a means to synchronize and standardize the collection and analyzation of such incidents across federal departments, search for links between these occurrences and foreign governments, and evaluate how much of a threat each sighting would pose. They'll work with U.S. allies and assess the origins of UAPs and put all their notes together. Now, starting in December 2022 and annually through December 2026, the Defense Secretary would be required to supply multiple congressional committees with reports on such phenomenons. Now, other topics, those materials would need to be, they include analysis, relevant data through geophysical signals, human intelligence details, notable patterns of sightings, and evaluations of health-related effects on people who encountered UAPs. All of these are included. Now, many of these recommendations were alluded to in a previous task force document put out by the government. Now, the Senate Armed Services Committee's version of the NDAA released Wednesday of this week does not incorporate an inclusion that would mandate this new office with the DOD, Department of Defense. Now, still, the Chamber's current version of the Intelligent Authorization Act for fiscal 2022 would also direct more classified UAP reports to be produced by Congress in the future. So, one of two things are going to happen. Either there's going to be this brand new department, or they're going to keep up with the current department that they have. Either way, this UFO stuff isn't going away. This UAP stuff isn't going away. And the main reason it isn't going away, as I've mentioned before, because something's going on, the government can't counter it, and they need to find out what it is. Is it China? Is it Russia? Or is it something from somewhere else? And if you think about it, the Department of Defense does just that. They defend our country. And they can't defend against these Tic Tac UFOs. They can't defend against what they see right now. And if they can't defend against it, They need to identify